In Creo Parametric mold design, you can create ejector pin holes as a production feature. Let me show you how to do that. First, I'm going to change from a shaded mode to a hidden line mode. Here you can see that I've got my core and my cavity. Just to make things easier to sketch later on, I am going to suppress a water line for a moment. First thing I realized is that I had located my parts incorrectly. They are 180 degrees from where I want them to be when I have my ejector pins push them out of the mold. So I'm going to start off by selecting the reference part, and then I can choose Edit Definition. That'll bring up the Layout dialog box. Then I can go to the Reference Mold Origin and Orient option. Let's change to Dynamic, and I want the flats in the rods to be pointing down. So let's rotate about the x-axis 180 degrees. And now when I take a look at the part, then I have the z-axis pointing up, the flats are pointing down, and that way my ejector pins will be able to push this out of the mold. Let's click the OK button and then OK. And the model updates the way that I want them to. Next, I will create a sketch that contains all the points where I want these different ejector pin holes to be. So let's start off by clicking the Sketch tool. Let's select the surface we want to sketch on. It's going to have the datum plane right, face the right side of the screen. That's good. Let me click on the Sketch button. Here in Sketch mode, let's add in a couple more sketch references. I am going to click on references. I think mold right is really what I want. That's all I need. Let's close out of here. Let's unclutter the screen and let's go to our sketch display. For locating the different holes, I am going to throw in some center lines. We have these blue dashed lines. Those are our sketch references. They are not actually center lines. Let's throw those in there. I'm going to use those as a mirroring reference. I am in Creo Parametric 7.0. I believe you can mirror without having center lines, but let's just be safe. And let's throw in another reference. Let's change this height of the center line. I'm just doing that so I can eyeball where I want my points to be. Let's click on the point command. And be aware that I'm clicking on the point command from the datum group and not from the sketching group. The point command from the datum group will actually create datum points in the model. Let's throw a point there and here and here and one last one over there. Let's then change some of these different dimensions. And I'm just eyeballing the dimensions. Now let's change that to 80. Let's move some of these dimensions where I can see them. And I don't know, 176 sounds good. And for this one, 212 looks good. So now that I've got those different points created, move some of the other dimensions around, then we can just mirror the points. I will swipe a box over them, then go to the mirror command and mirror them about this center line. And then I will swipe a box over all the points once more, hit the mirror button, pick the center line to mirror about. Now I've got points for where I want the ejector pin holes to be located. Let's rotate the model. To create the actual ejector pin holes, you can go to the Production Features Overflow menu and then choose Ejector Pin Hole. And this is really just a special kind of hole as an assembly level feature. It allows you to have a counter bore as well as different diameters through each of the components that it intersects. Here we have the different options for locating the hole. These are the standard hole creation methods: linear, radial, coaxial, and on point. I find on point the easiest, which is why I create the datum points. Now I can select one or more items. So you can actually select multiple points, but I prefer to create one ejector pin hole and then pattern them. Let's click OK and then done. Now for the placement plane, I will select the bottom of the mold core. Here it's showing a direction. the message area says arrow shows direction of feature creation, pick flip or OK. I'm going to say OK. And now it asks for the counter bore diameter. Let's use a value of, I'm going to use a big value just so that you can see it. And then for the counter bore depth, let's use a value of 2. So now I need to define what parts are going to be intersected. So I'll double click on that. Let's select the core part. And now it asks me for the diameter value for this intersection. Let's use a value of 3. And if you selected more parts, you could have different diameters for each one of those parts. Let's click the OK button, and then we can click OK. And there we have the counter bore created. You can see the, there we have the hole created. You can see the counter bore and where it ends up impinging upon our molding part. Now that we have the ejector pin hole, I can select it, then use the pattern option. The default option for the pattern is dimension. I can change that to a point pattern and then select the sketch that contains all the different holes. Then when I hit the check mark, I have my ejector pins in all of the locations. And so in that way, you can use the ejector pin hole feature in order to create the holes for the ejector pins in your mold design. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more information, please visit www.creowindchill.com. If you learned something from this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like this video, please click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be informed when new videos are uploaded. Thank you very much.